Alright guys, today we are going to learn two-point perspective. Two-point perspective starts with a horizon line, which is one of your vocabulary words, and two vanishing points, one on either end of your paper. So, when we are dealing with two-point perspectives, we have vanishing point 1 and vanishing point 2. And I highly recommend you go ahead and label those as such. We are going to draw a city perspective today, and we're just going to take this a few steps at a time, and we're going to learn it. The first thing you need to understand is every single thing is done with a ruler and a pencil. And 90% of the lines that you need to do when coming down to your project is going to be erased. So you need to understand the concept of drawing lightly. Draw it light until you get it right. And that is the number one rule that I have when doing art. You draw it lightly until you can do it right. That way you can erase your objects. So we need also an eraser, and I would highly suggest you getting a hold of a block eraser, just so you have that constant item in your package. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a line, the center of our paper. Sometimes we can do it off to the side, we can do it a little bit further off to the side, but for the sake of the fact being that we've never done this before, I want to do in the middle. And what I want you to do is I want you to create your line, using a ruler, of course, and create it in the middle, mostly above that horizon line, but a little bit below as well. Then you're going to connect each point to both vanishing points. Using your ruler, again, what I'm checking with your grade, more than anything else, is whether or not you used a ruler. I can see it, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So you need to always, always, always use your ruler to connect your objects. So that should be what you have to start with. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to come down below this line, and I want you to place a little dot, about an inch. See if, try to measure that and see if that's so. I'm a little bit shy of an inch, but that's okay. So about an inch, and I'm going to connect that dot to my vanishing points as well. This will eventually become your sidewalk. I think the first thing we're going to do today is we are going to learn our sidewalks. Our sidewalks are a little difficult, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So this line right here is the center of your alley. Imagine standing in the middle of a road, say we're standing at a stop sign, and there's a turn lane here, turn lane here. So this would be, imagine it if you will, a road. And we are looking at a corner of a building, and if we turn this way, we'll see a whole bunch of buildings. If we turn this way, we'll see a whole bunch of buildings, but this will be one solid building right here in the middle. So this line will separate everything on this side of the vanishing point. If we are dealing with the top or the bottom of a building, or the top and the bottom of a window, is going to go to the same vanishing point. All right? If we are dealing with this side, it's going to go to vanishing point 1. So what we've got to understand is that if we're dealing, again, with the tops of a building, the bottom of a building, the top of a building, window, bottom of a window, top of a door, bottom of a door, they're all going to go to the vanishing point on that side. But if we are dealing with the side of a building or a sidewalk, they're going to go to the opposite vanishing point. So we're going to focus on this side of the building right now, and we are going to create the lines in our sidewalks. But we are going to have to connect it to the opposite vanishing point. The first line you need to do is to line up right where that line is. See that? And then we're going to keep going. We're going to make sure it stays connected to our vanishing point at all times. And the further back we get, the closer our lines are going to get together, and the smaller our lines are going to get together. until we have nothing left. Look at that. We got half of the sidewalk. So now we're going to do this side. Same thing. We're going to connect to vanishing point 2 with our ruler. We're going to slide up our ruler to that line. Then we're going to keep on going, making sure it connects still to our vanishing point. We're going to draw the lines in our sidewalk. Every time, making sure it connects to our vanishing point. Making sure our lines are getting smaller, closer together as we near our other vanishing point. Okay. There we go. So now we have a row of buildings and our sidewalks. So this will kind of help us adjust and kind of help us see where our buildings are going to be. The next thing we want to do is we want to start planning out our buildings. This is very simple. We have to do vertical lines. So we're going to make sure it lines up that ruler. We're going to slide it down till we get the width of the building that we want. And we're going to adjust these because buildings are supposed to be different sizes. I would ask that you would at least have 6 lines. And keep in mind, closer to the vanishing point we get, the smaller your lines are going to get, and the closer together they're going to get. So you need to keep that in mind. Okay, so there we go. We got one side. I'm going to come over here, make sure my ruler's lined up. I'm going to make this first building very narrow, but really long. And we're going to go that way. Have some really fat windows, fat buildings. Some really small buildings. Okay? Once I do that, I've kind of got all my buildings. And I know it doesn't make sense right now, but it will, I promise. I'm going to take 2 of my buildings. Now, these are the faces. This section right here is different. This is the front of a building and the side of a building. All right? So this is technically a store that can be entered in on either side. And then what we have is we have front of buildings all the way down. So these are all the fronts of our buildings. This line will be used later, so we don't want to lose that quite yet. But what I want to do is I want to make 3 of my buildings big. So, and I'm going to go out of the norm here, and I'm going to, again, line up. I'm going to pick this building right here. Here. I'm going to pick this building, which is right here. I'm going to pick this building right here. And I'm going to pick this building, just for the fun of it. You see it? Right here. And I'm going to take the sides of my buildings, and I'm going to make them taller. Once I make them taller, the line, depending on what side they are, furthest from the vanishing point. Remember when I said top of the buildings, bottom of the buildings, top of the windows, bottom of the windows, all go to the same vanishing point. Remember? They all go to the vanishing point on the same side. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to line up the line furthest from the vanishing point, and I'm going to connect it to my vanishing point. And then I'm going to draw my lines like that. So see, I accidentally drew too much of that line right there, which is totally fine. Erase and clean that up. I'm also going to go ahead and erase the top of that building because we moved it up. We just shifted that building up higher. So now I've got the front of the building, but I don't have the side of the building. And if these buildings are shorter, wouldn't you see the side of a building? So what I want to do is, because it's the side of the building, we got to follow the rules just like we did with our sidewalk. So that same line that we used before to connect the front of it, we're going to connect to vanishing point 1. And then we're just going to draw that line all the way down. Do you see that? It goes all the way down. Now here's the problem. Very clearly, that building is not going to stretch across millions of other buildings, right? We're not dealing with a factory per se. So we've got to even deal with the back of our building, which again is another vertical line. So I want to play around with the back of my building. Let's put right here. I think that's a good size. So I'm going to put like a little dot. I'm going to line up my ruler with that center line, making sure it's nice and straight. And I'm going to slide it over. And I'm going to just draw that vertical line just till I hit the top of another building. See how I hit the top of another building? Then what I'm going to do, so I'm going to erase the rest of the top of that building that I no longer need. So now I've got this tall building amongst all these other short ones. And I'm going to do the same for all the other buildings that we've put stars by. Make a really tall one far back. This could even play around and be with like a skyscraper or something like that. But again, we're going to connect it to that vanishing point. Erase what we don't need. Connect to get our sides to the other vanishing point till we get the depths that we want. Now, look at that. It already ran into another building. And you know what? I think that's a good depth, so I'm just going to leave it like that. It is skewed.